Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. Today on this hot day, my name is Robert Press. I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and Parkchester Times. The latter, like this show, is part of Muslim Media Corporation. I also have a blog at www.100percentblogspot.com. Facebook page is 100%. And what is going on in your community board? The views expressed on this show are those of the host, any guest, or any commentator commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily those of Muslim media. So let's go into the hot weather today. Today, the temperature should break about 85 with possible later rain, high humidity. Tomorrow, Saturday, the high should be about 87 with, again, possible late thunderstorms, high humidity. Sunday is the best beach day, with the high getting into the low 90s under sunny skies. And remember to take that suntan lotion along with you, as you may burn quickly at the beach. It will also be very humid tomorrow on Sunday. Monday should be even hotter than Sunday, with the rest of the work week starting out what looks to be like a heat wave in the 90s. So remember that humidity will make it feel even hotter. On to politics. What can I say? President Biden sent a 2-page letter to Democratic lawmakers on Monday saying that I am firmly committed to staying in this race, saying speculation over the future was helping former President Donald Trump, and it was time to stop it. The question of how to move forward has been well aired over a week now, and it's time for it to end. We have one job, Biden said. Now, Biden, 81, has been insistent that he will continue his campaign even after he badly faltered in a debate with Trump, a performance that alarmed Democrats worried about his ability to run and win and govern again. He had said that he had a cold, jet lag, and was working hard since trying to demonstrate that he's still on the job. Yesterday, though, he held a press conference, which I'll go into soon. Then I will let you know where our local New York State senators and Congress members stand on Joe Biden. Yesterday, President Biden held a press conference to announce his support for the people of the Ukraine, but bringing up the president of the Ukraine, President Biden called him President Putin. Then a few seconds later, Biden caught himself and said, I mean President Zelensky of the Ukraine, who is fighting Putin. Biden then held a press conference that was scheduled for 6:30 p.m. It was pushed back to 7 p.m. and started at 7:27 p.m. And unfortunately, it ended after his 8 p.m. curfew. It ended at about 8:30. So while talking about how the Russian-Ukraine war began and how he warned about Putin attacking Ukraine, he stumbled a few times. It turned into a political speech as he attacked Donald Trump's foreign policy. And he said he will stand by the Ukraine. He said core inflation is at its lowest in 3 years, and prices are falling. If you go to the supermarket or to the gas station, you can see that they're not falling. The war in Gaza is coming to an end thanks to a deal he is working on, and he wants the war to end now. We are the United States, he said. I will take to make a deal that he's worked. We are the United States. I'm sorry, I'm getting like President Biden. I will take your questions. And now I have a list of people to call on, and he read from the list, one by one, the people that he was calling on. The questions were, when asked about his vice president, Biden said, I wouldn't have picked Donald Trump to be my vice president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Now, that brought up a lot of problems when he said that his vice president was Donald Trump. As he continued on the second question there, he tried to explain calling President Zelensky President Putin. So he started off real bad, Biden. Then he was asked, what about your friends who are calling for you to step down? What about your legacy? He answered, I am not in this for my legacy. I have a job to do. Then he went into a different subject, saying that rent increases will go no higher than 5%. He then started to babble about investing in America. President Harris would be ready to take over from day one, he said. She is qualified to be president. A question on his limits when the presidency is a 24-hour job as to his 8 p.m. curfew he said he has. He tried to justify his busy schedule as he stumbled a little, saying that he has to pace himself. He lost the spot on when he was calling on the next reporter. And the question was, how can you reassure the people of the U.S. that you won't have a bad night? He said, can you name someone who got 2,000 pieces of legislation and created as many jobs as I had? Again, he started to stumble on the next reporter's name. The question was, what advice will you give European leaders if Donald Trump wins? They are saying that you have to win, Joe. It would be a disaster if you lose. Trump is weak on foreign policy, and that worries Europe. He said he was talking to Putin, then he got a call 4 weeks later, corrected himself to 5 months later from the president of Finland, who wanted to join NATO, and we let them in to dissuade an attack on Finland. He said he got Sweden to join NATO. The Cold War is over, and what is going to replace it? Question on NATO had China is now a partner of Russia, selling them goods. What are you going to do about it? The answer was that we discussed that in the NATO summit. China's position is a large enough country to convince countries what to do. If they are helping Russia with arms, they are not going to win on that. We have reestablished contact with China, and there is a price to pay in undercutting Europe and Asia. The previous administration did not do that. Both China, North Korea, and Iran are looking to see how they can coordinate, and some of the European friends are looking out for that. We need a new industrial policy in the West, he said, to grow our own new weapons, vehicles to weapon systems. There will be another meeting with Europe and Japan to make our new defense weapons. Question again, dealing with Putin. He has no good reason because Putin is not changing his behavior. Putin has been a problem in his war with Ukraine. Biden said they conquered about 17.4% of the Ukraine, and they lost over 300,000 people. He said they lie like hell, and we may not be able to change Russia in the short run. I can talk to any world leader, but I see no reason to talk to Russia. I will talk to China. A question about the ceasefire in Gaza. Would you change anything? He said he went to the Middle East to meet with Arab leaders and to get more aid into Gaza. He said Israel is very conservative. There must be no occupation of Gaza, and the port has to be open to get aid in. He said he didn't make the same mistake the U.S. did in Afghanistan. And he said, I will not provide 200-pound bombs to Israel, but I united Arab nations. It is time to end the war, but to go after those who started the war. He said, the question was about many of your colleagues are watching you. Are you determined to run in November? He said he has 20 major events to demonstrate that he can win. We have the most expensive campaign with over 1,000 people making calls, and we are well organized with people in key states. More children are killed by bullets than anything else, he said. We have a Supreme Court with conservative democracy, with conservatives. Democracy is not safe. And do you think our democracy is under siege with the current Supreme Court and more? I have to finish this job, he said. There is much at stake. He said he has taken 3 neurological tests and had problems saying that word, but he said he gets an exam every day. If my doctors say I need another test, I will get it. An answer on his delegates, if they were free to vote for anyone else at the convention, he said, sure, but they won't. And at the end, do you believe in the polls? He says, it is best to govern and to win. It is awful hard to start over. The final question was, would you withdraw if your friends came back saying Vice President Harris would do a better job than you? He said, they would have to convince me, and they can't. The hour-long press conference then ended with a reporter saying that President Trump is using your gaffe on calling him vice president, and whereas Biden's aides all of a sudden rushed him off the stage. Now, what are in the aftermath of President Biden's horrible showing at the debate, a recent New York Times Sierra College poll found the majority of registered voters included 53% of black voters, 83% of Hispanic voters, 84% of young voters, 59% of Democrats, and 61% of Biden's own supporters believe Biden is too old to be an efficient president. A handful of Democrats elected have called on Biden to drop out of the race, arguing that Vice President Kamala Harris would be more likely to beat President Donald Trump in November. Biden has repeatedly said he will not exit the race, and many Democrats in Congress are sticking by him, at least publicly. Here's what some of the elected officials at the U.S. Senate and Congress are saying. These want Biden to drop out. On July 8th, Congressman Joe Morale has suggested publicly that Biden should drop out. As America convinced that you are in the kind of shape to both stand for campaign, but more importantly, can you continue to serve as president? Morale represents the 25th congressional district around Rochester. Pat Ryan said on July 10th that Biden should drop out of the race. Joe Biden is a patriot, but no longer can be the best candidate to defeat Trump. Ryan represents the 18th Council District in Hudson Valley, and he is facing a challenge from Republican Allison Esposito. Those that are still with Biden, both New York State and New York U.S. Senators and 6 of 16 House Democrats have publicly defended Biden and said that the Democratic Party must accept that he will remain the Democratic nominee. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is reportedly sticking with Biden. As I said before, I'm with Joe, and U.S. Senator Kristen Gillibrand also defended Biden in a statement on July 8th. Gregory Meeks, the chair of the Queens Democratic Party, who represents the 4th Congressional District in Eastern Queens, said on July 8th, Biden was a strong leader and the best representative for the U.S., dismissing calls that he should drop out of the race. Grace Meng from the 6th Congressional District of Queens says that she fully supports Biden, saying that he's the president as long as he decides to be in a statement released July 8th. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who represents the 8th Congressional District in central Brooklyn, has spent most of the time taking the temperature of the conference. Publicly, he has stood with Biden. I made it clear that after the debate publicly, I support Joe Biden and the Democratic ticket. Dan Goldman from the 10th Congressional District in Lower Manhattan in Brooklyn said Joe Biden has been an outstanding president who has preserved democracy at home and abroad. Adriano Espaillat, reiterating his support for President Joe Biden, said, I know Joe. He is fit to take when he took office, and he's fit now. I remain steadfast in my support. Espaillat represents the 13th Congressional District of Upper Manhattan and the Bronx. Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio said, I have spoken with him extensively. He is not leaving this race. He is in the race. I support him. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez represents the 14th Congressional District in Western Queens and the Bronx. She is also a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, and her firm support for Joe Biden has put her odds with the DSA. And what has happened now is the DSA has withdrawn their support of Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez because she is not going after Israel and siding with Joe Biden on the issue of the Gaza Strip. Tim Kennedy said the day after the debate on June 26 he supports Biden remaining at the top of the ticket. He represents the 26th Congressional District around Buffalo. Those that are unclear are Jerry Nadler, who said Biden will be the nominee and the Democrats have to support him, a shift from his position of 2 days earlier, July 7th, when he said Biden should drop out of the race. Nadler represents the 12th Congressional District in Manhattan. And Richie Torres released a statement on July 8th that did not explicitly say whether Biden should remain the nominee, but warned that the criticism of Biden only strengthens Trump in November. Richie Torres represents the 15th Congressional District in the Bronx. Now, those who had no comment on Joe Biden were Tom Suozzi from Long Island, Nydia Velazquez, 7th Congressional District, Brooklyn and Queens, Yvette Clarke, 9th Congressional District in Brooklyn, Paul Tonko, 20th Congressional District in Albany, and Jamal Bowman, 16th Congressional District in the Bronx and Westchester County. But who cares about Jamal Bowman because he lost the primary and he's gone as of January 1st. Before I go to the commercial, I want to say a little bit about the Hochul-Delgado split on Biden and its stunning political split. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Delgado broke with Kathy Hochul on Wednesday and called for President Joe Biden to end his presidential campaign so that another candidate can be the presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. I have immense respect and admiration for Biden's deep and abiding commitment to the American people and our founding democratic ideas, Delgado said in a statement posted on X. He can add to his legacy and his strength and grace by ending his campaign and make room for a new leader. Delgado urged Democrats to move ahead with a candidate capable of reinvigorating and re-energizing voters. Delgado's break with Hochul came only a week after Hochul signaled that she and Delgado work together, and she intends to keep him as a running mate when she runs for re-election in 2026. It's not uncommon for governors and the lieutenant governors to end up saying something of a different, but private disagreements rarely spill into the public eye. The lieutenant governor has little institutional power, with the governor largely defining what the position will be. That means a lot of travel around the state, cutting ribbons, and other minor appearances on the often an executive presence without the governor actually being there. And I see my producer has me going to a commercial, so when we come back, we'll go into some other local politics other than Joe Biden. So let's go to a commercial, Mr. Producer.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our news site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Okay, welcome back, and we'll get away from President Joe Biden, hopefully. And we have a sad story to report that a New York City Police Department recruit died Wednesday. AJ, I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions before. Yes, I see that. But let me tell you about the recruit. He died from apparently heat-related medical episode at the department's Bronx shooting range at Rodman's Neck at 11:30 a.m. The recruit Edgar Ordonez, 33, died what seemed to be heat exhaustion. He was taken to Jacoby Hospital, where he was listed initially in critical condition but could not be saved. His class was slated to graduate this coming Monday. Police Commissioner Edward Caban posted a tribute to Ordonez on X. Our hearts are heavy. We honor our fallen brother, probationary police officer Edgar Ordonez. Caban said in the post, "We tragically lost Edgar earlier today, just a few days before he was set to graduate and join his fellow finest protecting New York City," he added. Police sources said that city officials, the Bronx District Attorney, and the State Attorney General should investigate the officer's death because cops are forced to wear heat-trapping helmets, long pants, and heavy boots, no matter how hot it is. It's no surprise that this incident like this can take place. The police officers are in the public, the source said. They are people. They don't have superpowers. We are issuing heat warnings to the public, having heat advisories, opening cooling centers. Where is the relief for the officers? Governor Hochul this past week announced a $6.88 billion funding grant agreement for the Gateway Hudson Tunnel, which means there will be another tube being that will be built between New York and New Jersey under the Hudson River. With the money from the Federal Transportation Administration, the grant supports the Hudson Tunnel project, which will build 2 additional tracks and rehabilitate the existing 2 tracks, resulting in 4 new modern railway tracks, which will build redundancy and resilience against future impacts on Hudson River rail crossings. Hochul, though, who is still supporting Joe Biden for re-election, said that it starts at the very top. If you don't have a president of the United States of America who's committed to this, it doesn't happen. And this is about partnership. Don't take it for granted that it's easy between two states. For example, we love New Jersey, and New Jersey loves New York. And Phil Murphy, she thanked Phil Murphy, Chuck Schumer, and others. And let me get on to the next item. Governor Hochul has signed new legislation concerning lithium batteries. There were 9 pieces of legislation that was signed regarding lithium batteries, e-bikes, e-scooters, mopeds, and sale of mopeds. The legislation can be found on my blog at www.100%.blogspot.com. It's different things that include the mopeds are going to have to be registered for police to investigate incidents when they are made aware of them. It requires police and judicial officers investigating an accident with an e-bike or an e-scooter. And it provides also for micro mobility devices such as mopeds, bicycles with electric assist to have a red tag attached to the charging cord. And it says it's about not selling used batteries to people, that they must be approved, and new batteries. Now, the Attorney General, Letitia James, Monday announced settlements with 4 school bus companies to stop illegal excessive idling at their bus yards in communities of color and low-income communities in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, and Staten Island. The companies Consolidated Bus Incorporated, Logan Bus Incorporated, Pioneer Transportation, and Total Transportation, which you may see them on our streets here in the Bronx, will each be required to invest up to $2 million to purchase new electric buses or electrify some of their current fleet. Attorney General James alleges that these 4 companies violated New York City laws by allowing school buses to idle for extended periods in their bus yards. Emissions from buses and cars are the largest contributor to air pollution in New York, and excessive idling endangers the health of surrounding communities. New York State law prohibits idling for over 5 minutes, while New York City law prohibits idling for more than 3 minutes or 1 minute when the vehicle is near a school. Depending on the number of alleged instances of illegal idling, the companies will each invest at least $300,000 and up to $2 million to purchase the new electric vehicles, repower the current school buses, which involves removing the vehicle's internal combustion engine and replacing it with an electric engine drive. The companies will also implement mandatory training for its bus drivers to reduce unnecessarily idling at their warehouses. There is a new cannabis legislation. State cannabis regulators on Wednesday proposed scrapping a rule that barred its licensed pot shops from offering price discounts on their marijuana products, which they argued put them at a disadvantage with illegal operators. Discounted prices on cannabis gummies, oils, and other items could be offered to seniors, students, and military veterans, sources said. This could mean buying 2 10-pack of pre-rolled joints for the price of 1, among other sales. Cannabis dispensaries could also enroll customers in loyalty programs with special deals for the first time under the proposal. The restrictions on bargains were initially put in place to address health and safety concerns, said John Kagan, Policy Director for the State Office of Cannabis Management. But complaints that the restrictions that were put in licensed cannabis operators are at a competitive disadvantage on pricing with the many illegal shops around the city and the state. It's time to cut the red tape and grow the green economy, he said. Well, if you would cut the taxes, then they would be able to sell cheaper too. All right. This is huge, lifting the restrictions on discounts, said one owner who has the cannabis place, which is a dispensary and delivery service in Middle Village, Queens. This owner noted that he has a licensed cannabis store in Jersey City, New Jersey, where he offers discounts on certain products to veterans, senior citizens, and students. Now, that bothers me. And this is my opinion now. I have a problem with discounted prices on gummies, oils, and other items which could be offered to students. Doesn't one have to be over 21 to purchase cannabis products? Or has this age been lowered so students can now buy cannabis? I mean, are we talking about 15-year-old high school students? Are we talking about 16-year-old high school students, or even 13-year-old middle school students? That sounds like my days on Bronx Community Board 8, where we had a bar with a sign in the window saying, "Welcome back, students from a local college." I went to the owner and asked him which students can drink, and the answer was, well, seniors over 21. So I said to this owner of the bar, why don't you change your sign to say, "Welcome back, seniors," which was done. The selling of cannabis to students worries me, and I hope our state assembly members and state senators are looking at just which students are buying cannabis. Here's a nice one. Mayor Adams and his administration is still pushing elected officials to use a controversial online form requesting meeting with agency leaders and certain services, leading some lawmakers to consider legislation to upend the protocol, a key council member said on Wednesday. Councilman Lincoln Ressler, who chairs the City Council's Government Operations Committee, said that he and others are looking at legislative solutions to rescind the administration's policies, which drew immediate blowback from council members, including the speaker when it was rolled out in April. He said scheduling a meeting with NYPD officials has been a particular hassle in recent weeks, with multiple precincts declining requests to meet with lawmakers and residents unless the form is completed, in some instances canceling planned meetings altogether. I'm shocked, genuinely shocked, at any administration that could think that this is a rational, helpful policy, said Ressler. It seemed undermine our ability to efficiently do our job and make city agencies less effective. More than 60 elected officials from varying levels of government sent a letter urging Mayor Adams to scrap the policy in spring, saying it was unnecessarily bureaucratic and could hamstring the delivery of services to constituents. Council Speaker Adams publicly denounced the protocol soon after it was reported, telling members to disregard it and carry on as usual with the interactions with agencies. The fight over the online form came to a head in May when some council members and Tiffany Raspberry, the mayor's senior advisor and director of governmental affairs, faced off during a tense council meeting at City Hall. Raspberry defended the policy, testifying that no requests submitted through the forms up to the point had been denied and that average time was less than 2 days. She also said the form was meant to be formal for formal meeting requests and deployment of agency resources, not emergency issues or basic requests. Now, I think this could be the mayor's way of getting back at council members for the How Many Stops Act, which requires the police department to report on police investigating encounters. But again, that's my opinion. Let's see what's new on Rikers Island, and then I have new city bike fees. The question of whether or not a federal judge will strip New York City of its control over Rikers Island is moving forward slowly, though. While Judge Laura Swan again acknowledged that desperate need to address the violence that's long plagued city jails during July 9th status hearing in Manhattan federal court, she didn't end up appointing a third-party authority known as a federal receiver to take over control of city jails. The long-awaited decision will have to wait till an unknown date. At least a partial decision may come towards the end of the year. Swan ordered a hearing for September 25th, in which the Legal Aid Society lawyers who represent people incarcerated at Rikers will have an opportunity to argue the New York City Department of Corrections should be held in contempt for failure to follow court orders to bring down jail violence. Now, as far as City Bike goes, they have announced that much like everything else in New York City, City Bike prices will be increasing this month. The company says higher than anticipated battery swapping, insurance, and vehicle expenses have made operations more costly than expected. City Bike says that they've partnered with Con Edison and the Department of Transportation to add more pilot stations. They say network of charging stations will reduce the need for van-based battery swapping. We'll continue to invest more manual battery swapping to ensure that you can find an e-bike that's charged and available to use, City Bike said in a statement. The increase will affect e-bike per minute pricing directly. The rate hike is expected to go into effect, well, it went into effect yesterday, July 10th, and here's what it'll cost. Member pricing will be $18.33 per month or $299.99 annually. There is no charge in the annual membership price. E-bike fee will increase to 24 cents per minute. Overall fees and e-bike on the classic and regular e-bike will increase again to 24 cents a minute. The cap for e-bike rides with 45 minutes or less that enter or exit Manhattan will increase to $4.80. Like I said, all other e-bike rides will be at 24 cents per minute and uncapped. Reduced fare bike share members, there will be no change in the monthly membership price. E-bike fares will increase to 12 cents a minute though. Overall fees, e-bike and classic, will increase to 24 cents a minute. The cap for e-bike rides, 45 minutes or less to exit Manhattan, will increase to $4.80 and 12 cents per minute uncapped. That's according to e-bike, so don't blame me if it sounded anything. Now, let me finally say that July 15th, this coming Monday, begins the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It runs through July 18th, where President Donald Trump will be nominated for President of the United States, and we will find out who his vice president candidate is. The Democratic National Convention will run Monday, August 19th through August 22nd, and it is being held in Chicago. I don't know if I mentioned that the Republican National Convention will be held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but let me continue now with the Democratic nomination, because that is where we will find out if President Joe Biden is renominated or a substitute candidate is nominated for the Democratic nomination to run for President of the United States. And locally, one final word, well, it's said that New York City Controller Brad Lander is preparing to announce an election to run against Mayor Adams within the next 2 weeks, according to several political sources. And Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar has announced that she is exploring a run for city controller then also. I must say, and this will be my final item about the City of S Housing Opportunity City Planning Commission public hearing. The hearing started at 10 a.m. on Wednesday and ended at 12:55 a.m. Thursday morning. It was almost a 15-hour meeting. The staff said that it is a record for the longest meeting in the body's history. 204 people testified, and it was not known how many people were called but did not speak. So you could hear that the chair of the City Planning Commissioner, Dan Garodnick, called names and nobody answered, and I would have to estimate at least 100 people didn't speak. So this is the city planning. It's still taking written testimony on this proposal until its vote in September. After that, the City of Yes Housing Opportunity will go to the City Council at the end of the year. I testified. I said that this plan is too big. It's not working. I agree with my borough president, Vanessa Gibson, on some of the items that she wants to change. And I think she is right on the money there. And let me end the show here right now and say good luck, Stephanie, Stacey, and DeLeon in your trip to Chicago. And I hope you make the right choice on your nomination of president. She is a delegate to the Democratic National Convention, and I want to thank you for watching. And goodbye, AJ, and goodbye to all of you.
Undoubtedly, Africa is the best tourism destination on Earth. The continent is blessed with the most conducive atmosphere. To feel and enjoy these blessings, join the most productive one-week tour of the continent organized by Daylight Africa every September 2nd to September 9th to see beyond the fallacies about Africa on the mainstream media. Contact us at daylightafrica@gmail.com or call 718-822-5555. Daylight Africa. Revolutionizing tourism industries in Africa.